we don't rise to the level of, right, our expectation or what we think. We sink to the level of our habits, what you're trying to accomplish in life. You're sinking to the level of what you know, of what your body has been trained to do, of what your mind has been trained to think about. That's muscle memory. He gave that example about Steph Curry because Steph Curry, right, shooting threes in practice, shooting 100 threes. I saw another one. This is again, this is 10 years old, right? And he said Steph Curry right before that had hit 77 threes in practice, like in a row. I just watched another interview with Steph Curry about a week ago, and he said the most was like 150 that he hit or 140 something that he hit in a row. So even from in a 10-year window, he doubled the amount of consistency that he had. But imagine doing something so reflexive that in the game, when it's game time, when it's crunch time, when things are on the line, your body just reacts. You don't even need to look. He doesn't even need to look at the basket. He's done it so much. Think about this in your life. The programming that we have, you don't even have to think about the feelings you feel on a daily basis. You don't have to even think about the way that you operate on a daily basis because that's your habit. You've practiced this so much. We've practiced this mindset so much. We've told ourselves this story so much. We do the same things all the time. Like we are naturally our habits. So now we want to go change our life. Now we want to go do something great. Like ET said in there was a guy. I mean, I remember being in that room. Like I remember these things. I remember being in that room. He's making little jokes, but there was a guy in the room that was talking about him selling something. It was like either solar or something. And he was like, man, they told me I just got to go knock on 100 doors a day. And if I knock on 100 doors a day, I'm going to make six figures. And that's why ET said that, because the guy was like, I never knocked on, I don't even know how to do it. Like every time I start, I stop. He's like, because that's not been your habit. You think if you go knock on 100 doors, you haven't knocked on 10 doors in a day, right? Now you think you're going to go knock on 100. Your body, your mind is not there. This is stuff you have to remember as you're trying to go to your ideal life, that you are running off of an operating system that maybe is not helping you get to where you want to be. And so we have to identify that operating system because our life, the way our brains and our bodies work, is just muscle memory from even an emotional standpoint, y'all. Even from an emotion, like there's an emotional home that you live in. There's emotions that you are used to experiencing more than others. And because of that, that's a programming inside of you. Are you aware of that? Are you aware of it? You know, I'm in the money space, so I have these money conversations with people. And I often say money is controlled by your habits, but your habits are controlled by your emotions. So, ergo, right? Your money is controlled by your emotions. So, what is the emotion you feel when you spend money? What's the emotion you feel when you want to buy the thing? What's the emotion that you feel when you want to, like, you have to link this stuff back to emotions, but it's all muscle memory. ET said, right? Can you withstand going through this process of outlasting the old you to get to the new you? Can you go through this process right now of learning how to get to a new version of yourself, but outlasting the old version, the old thoughts, the old mindsets, the things that have been in there for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years, 40 years of your life of thinking a certain way? Do you have the tenacity, the strength, right? The ambition to actually outlive, like to get through that version of yourself, to keep doing the work of being intentional about that. That's the game. And that's what we got to focus on. Again, this has everything to do with your habits on a daily basis. Habits on a daily basis. That's going to lead to the life you want. Steph Curry had a habit of shooting threes in practice. It's a habit. He started with one and he just kept going. And now, arguably one of the greatest shooters of all time, showing people like this, right? Like how you can close your eyes and just knock down threes because it's habit. Well, you got to know you're a product of your habits. I know we know these things. Again, I sometimes even as I say it, I know that we know this stuff. The question is like, how much are we focused on this? How intentional are you about changing your habits? Or are you stuck with the that's who I am, that's who I've been, that's how I've thought, this is the way it's been, right? Like that's a habit. But we're a product of our habits. Here's what it says in the text: it says average performers think of habits as something to break, like smoking or eating too much. Professional performers know successful habits are the keys to the kingdom. Again, professional performers know how successful habits are the keys to the kingdom. Each and every day, the great ones reinforce their success habits, such as exercise, proper diet, showing up early, staying late, and studying their field. Champions have a sacred respect for the power that habits exhibit in their lives. The pros know if they allow their championship habits to slip for even one day, the habit will begin to atrophy. The great ones know it's more difficult to develop a championship habit than to lose it. They understand the magnificent force of momentum can work for or against them. As a result, they tend to protect their success habits with an almost religious fervor. Champions are keenly aware of how their habits impact every area of their lives because they always look inside themselves and listen for answers. Average people are oblivious to success habit formation unless the pain from an unhealthy habit becomes too great. Habits are the raw materials from which the great ones are made. Again, it says here champions are keenly aware of how their habits impact every area of your life because they always look inside themselves and listen for answers. You know when a habit is serving you or not serving you. If you don't, this is the process of becoming aware of what habits serve you and don't serve you. Again, don't think of all habits as bad habits. Again, there are some things that, yeah, you need to change because it's not leading you in the direction you want to go. That's how you should think about it. Is this what I'm doing helping me become the man or woman God called me to be? Is this taking me towards that or away from that? That's a very easy way to define whether or not this is a habit that you should be doing, you should be working towards. If it's getting you to the man or woman that you want to be, or if it's taking you away from it, then we got to get away from it. But that's just on the negative habit side. Again, what about the positive habit side? What success habits have you put in your life? I've given you a ton of them throughout being on these calls. The question is, how much do you implement them? And then how much are you tweaking them so that they actually help you? Is your morning routine in place? That is a success habit. Success leaves clues. The most successful people in the world will tell you how structured their day is. They'll tell you how structured their morning is. They'll tell you how structured their night is. But for some reason, someone might think that I don't need to do that. Well, no, you do. That's a habit. That is a success habit that you wake up, you take time for yourself, you have a gratitude journal, you hydrate your body, you move your body, you get your thoughts together, you pray, you meditate, whatever. Like that's a success habit. You can't debate it, whether you do it or not, right? That's neither here nor there. That's the habit. Are you putting those things in place? Are your habits when it comes to work? Habits when it comes to going after your dreams? Are they gearing you in the direction that you want to go? Do you have the habit of showing up early or staying late? Or did we only do that for the job? Right? Now that we have our own thing, are we still doing this? Do we have that habit? In your finances, do you have the habit of budgeting? Do you have the habit of tracking? Do you have the habit of paying yourself first, which is how we save money? We can never say, I can't save money. If you make an income, you can save money. It's just, do you have the habit of saving money? If not, your finances will just be a product of your habits of putting yourself last. This is how it works in every area of your life. We are a product of our habits of thinking, of what happens when we think of certain things. Then our subconscious starts taking over and it becomes just habit. You have to start to realize, it says here, average people are oblivious to the success habit formation unless the pain of an unhealthy habit becomes too great. Again, that can't be us. I'm talking to us. We want to go off and design our ideal life. You want this life you don't need a break from. Well, we don't have the luxury of saying, oh, when things get so bad, that's when I'll change. Because that's how most people operate. You know all the things you should do in your health, but it's not until you have that major health scare that then you get in the hospital, you're like, oh, I should probably change some things. Like, of course, you've known that for a bunch of years. You just didn't because the pain wasn't great enough. We can't wait until we're at the worst part of our life, the bottom part, to feel the pain to then change. You have to start to create these habits now, the success forming habits, right? To say, okay, now this is putting me in the direction I want to go. This is making me, turning me into the man or woman God called me to be by putting these habits in place. But the fact remains, we're just a product of our habits. It's just a matter of what you're practicing, of what you're doing on a daily basis. So I would challenge you guys every day for the rest of this month, like focus on what are the habits? What are the good habits I have that I need to keep doing more of? I need to put these in place. Sure, naturally, your brain might go to some of the bad habits or some of the habits that are not serving you. Sure, we need to clean some of that stuff up. Absolutely. But what habits do you need to put in place for you to make it happen? Are there some things around your time that you can fully control, right? You control yourself within time. We all have the same 24 hours a day. Where you choose to put yours might be different than where I choose to put mine, but we're in control of that. So, what are your habits around time management? What are your habits around your financial management? What are your habits around your thought life management, right? You managing your thoughts, your emotional intelligence. What habits do you have in place for getting better relationships or habits in your health, right? All the areas. We have to stay intentional about this. If anything, these calls can be a reminder to you to just stay intentional because when you're not intentional, you're not thinking about your habits. You're just operating. You're operating in the ways you've operated. You're feeling the same thoughts. That's why life feels the same over and over again. I know some of y'all know what I'm talking about. I felt it when life just feels the same week after week. Life just feels the same because you experience the same things. You think the same thoughts. You have the same habits. You're operating on autopilot. You're operating on autopilot before the word got politicized, right? And now is a trigger word for a lot of people. But being woke when Erica Badu was talking about it in like this kind of cultural context was more like you're not moving through life unaware. Like you're not moving through life on autopilot. You are awake. Like you're awake. You see what's happening. You see what's coming your direction. You are centered and aligned. You are awake, moving through life. You're not just operating on habit. Now, we can't use the word anymore because they politicized and took it all different ways, but that's really the origin of why we're talking about being woke. It's to wake up. It's to know like the way you're operating in life is just a habit. It's just a habit from programming, from our environment, from the media, from the people that are around us. That's all it is. So now we want to get to a different life. We want to design a life we don't need a break from. Well, we just need to break the habit and we need to implement new habits by being aware and being intentional about this stuff, y'all. It's muscle memory. That's all this is. It's muscle memory. And the more you understand that that's all this is, you'll start to learn. You can unlearn and relearn a new memory. You can unlearn and relearn a new way of operating, unlearn and new learn a new way of thinking. That's what this becomes. I know, easier said than done. I get it. I'm not telling you this is easy. I'm just telling you this is going to put you on the path. This is going to put you on the path to becoming the highest, grandest expression of yourself, for having life exactly where you want it, for getting the capacity to handle all the things you're asking for, all the great relationships and the time freedom and the financial freedom and the great, right, relationships with your kids and all the stuff you're looking for that you pray for. God's making sure you have the capacity to handle this stuff. So you got to learn how to control what you can control. One of those things being your habits. Here's what it says for the action step. It says make a list of the 5 habits that could lift you to higher levels of success and fulfillment. Make a list of the 5 habits that could lift you to higher levels of success and fulfillment. Now select the single habit that would have the most impact and make a commitment to make it a part of your life. Remember, it takes an average of 3 to 4 weeks to form a new habit, whether positive or negative. It's going to take you consistency, 3 to 4 weeks, to either form a new habit that's either good or bad, doesn't matter. So let's start being intentional about this. It's the middle of August, summer's winding down for people, right? Some of y'all get back to school or kids going back to school and all the stuff. You got to be intentional about where you are, your habits. Take some time this week, take some time this weekend to sit down and say, hey, what are some habits that I need to add into my life that would take me to the next level, that would take me to the next level emotionally, financially, in my relationships, in my health, in my spiritual life? Like, what are some habits I need to put in place? And then start to practice them. Muscle memory. You're not gonna go knock on 100 doors tomorrow, but you can knock on one. You're not gonna read a book in 3 days if you haven't read a book in 15 years, but you can open up the book and start reading a page or two. Like there's always steps you can make to put in habits that are helping you get to where you want to go. But you got to be intentional about it, ladies and gentlemen. Be intentional about your habits. Be intentional about the things that you want to make happen, the man or woman that you want to become. Always think of that future version of yourself. Don't, otherwise, we're limited by thinking about the past. We're limited by thinking about the man or woman we used to be or the person that we thought we wanted to be. But like, if you can just think about the man or woman that you want to be and start to line up your actions and your habits to say, is this getting me towards that man or woman or is it taking me away from it? And you evaluate that every day, it's going to put you on a path of getting there, y'all. All right. Good to see you, Robert, out there. I see you. I love you guys. I want you to win. You deserve it. Your families deserve it. I'm glad to be back. Glad to share the stuff with you. People are counting on you to get this information. Get it, take it, use it, apply it. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. Applied knowledge is power. Oh, good job, LD. He said you need the link. I'll get it for you. I was too excited to show y'all about me. So I'll drop it in here. Hold on. Here we go. All right, there's the link inside of there if you want to check out that Eric Thomas video. But again, as always, y'all, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, continue to lock in outside of these calls that's causing you to grow, that's challenging you, that your future self is going to thank you for. Your future self is like, man, I'm so glad you made that sacrifice. I'm so glad you shifted how you thought there. I'm so glad you cut that person out. I'm so glad that you chose to choose this different habit. Like your future self is going to thank you. That's how you want to think about this thing, y'all. Love you guys. Take care.